Good afternoon, folks. I've got discussion A for you. It's about practicing self care during the grieving process when you lose a loved one, spouse, or family member. Okay, this gives you some practical ideas for self care. Okay, so we'll go through that today for discussion A for you. Give me a minute to set up for the show, please. Okay. the The page offers gentle, practical guidance for navigating self-care during grief. Here are here here are here are the main points. Honor your grief. The article opens by acknowledging the profound difficulty of loss, how basic tasks like sleeping, eating, or even getting out of bed can feel nearly impossible. Practice self kindness. It emphasizes being gentle with yourself rather than pushing for productivity or emotional process. Use small nurturing actions. The page suggests a list of 20 simple self-care strategies to support your healing. While the full list isn't shown, the tone suggests ideas like rest, nourishment, movement, and moments of stillness. Accept the future. Accept the future may feel distant. This there's there's recognition that hope or sense of or a sense of normalcy can feel far off, and that this too is part of the process. It is a compassionate approach, inviting readers to rebuild bit by bit rather than rushing through the pain. Would you like me to find that full list of 20 suggestions or delve into how grief affects brain and body chemistry? Absolutely. The document suggests simple, gentle self care strategies that can offer just enough support during times of deep grief. Here are some compassionate ideas inspired by that tone. Create a comfort corner, a small, cozy space with a blanket, a photo, or a favorite scent where you can retreat without pressure. Sipping something warm, whether it's tea, broth, or cocoa, Warming the body can sometimes soothe the spirit. Step outside briefly, even just sitting on a porch or by a window can bring a small sense of grounding. Limit your to-do lists to one thing. On heavy days, that one thing, like brushing your teeth or taking a shower, can be enough. Let music or nature do the talking. Listening to gentle sounds can create a sense of companionship without needing words. Handwriting your feelings, not to make sense of them, but simply to let them exist on paper, safely outside yourself. Would you like these adapted into printable grief care cards, or perhaps extended into a daily journal prompt series? In times of grief, daily routines can feel like walking through molasses, but gentle structure can provide just enough uh, scaffolding to to steady yourself. Here's a way to integrate self-care that's realistic, not overwhelming. Morning anchor. Morning anchor the day gently. Pause before rising. One deep breath, one kind thought, like today I'll be gentle to myself with myself. Hydrate with intention. A glass of water can feel like a small renewal. Do one body based act. A stretch, a warm shower, or simply opening the blinds for light. Midday. Tiny acts to reground. Nourish, nourish without pressure. Choose comforting foods that are easy to prepare. Even toast and tea count. Step outside or move. A 5-minute walk or just sitting near an open window with the sounds of nature. A 3-minute rest. Set a timer to simply sit and breathe. No goal, but just presence. Evening. Wind down with compassion. Name one feeling without judgment. I felt hollow. I felt okay for a while. Naming honors the experience. Soothe with one ritual. Journaling, a bath, soft music, or lighting a candle for your loved one with their honor, in their honor, guys. sleep cues, dim lights, tech off if possible, something familiar nearby like a blanket or scent. Would you like this adapted into printable grief routine guide or infused with reminders from favorite quotes or spiritual framework you find grounding? Self-care is like emotional scaffolding. It quietly supports the psyche while life tries to shake you loose, especially in times of grief. It is not just helpful, it's uh, fun, foundational. Here's why it matters so deeply. Regulates your nervous system. Gentle renewals or gentle rituals like mindful breathing, a warm bath, or even structured rest help calm the stress response, reducing cortisol and soothing the amygdala's alarm bells. Builds emotional resilience. Simple acts of kindness toward yourself create tiny uh, neural shifts. Over time, they foster internal safety and, and stabilize mood in the face of sadness, anxiety, or overwhelm. Okay, the next one is protects against burnout for caregivers or those holding emotional weight, which you can understand deeply. Self care replenishes what empathy and effort drain. Restores restores agency. When grief or depression blurs time and purpose, even one small choice like stretching or drinking water can result a quiet sense of control. Supports brain health. Sleep, nutrition, movement, and stress reduction aren't just uh, glitches. They support neuroplasticity during grief, guys. And protect long-term cognitive function, which is especially vital for vital in aging and during emotionally taxing periods. You might think of self-care as not uh, indulgence, but as maintenance of the mind, spirit, and even synaptic health. Would you like to explore how Certain self-care habits might intersect with brain fog or cognitive decline and grief. That's a powerful question, and one that underscores your holistic person centered mindset. Self care is never one size fits all because people's needs, uh, histories, and culture frameworks shape how they receive support. Here's how self care can differ across individuals. Okay, temperament and coping style. Some find solace in solitude and quiet rituals, like journaling or meditation, while others need connection, calling a friend, participating in a support group, or engaging in spiritual community. Okay. The next one is cultural and spiritual beliefs. In many cultures, healing practices are interwoven with traditions like lighting candles, honoring ancestors, or preparing a special meal. What feels nurturing, often springs from one's upbringing. Okay. Neurodiverseness or trauma history for for someone's PT for someone with PTSD or sensory sensitivities, certain self-care suggestions, e.g., baths, touch-based therapies, might feel overwhelming rather than soothing. Their self-care might involve around predictability, control, and sensory safe practices. Grieving style. Some move through grief with moment of action, gardening, caregiving, advocacy, while others need permission to rest deeply and do nothing. Stage of life role identity. A caregiver might consider five, five, five uninterrupted minutes of solace luxurious, whereas a teenager navigating grief might need artistic outlets or peer support. What matters in helping each person define what care feels like for them, especially during grief. Do you want to explore how self-care styles intersect with caregiving burnout, or how personalized routines might support those with cognitive decline? Beautifully complex question. Culture is like a lens. It shapes how people experience grief. Express distress and define what healing looks like. Here's how cultural background can influence self-care. Definition of wellness. In some cultures, self-care is rooted in community care, checking on elders, participating in rituals rather than individual activities, and other wellness might center around nature, spiritually or structured solitude, okay? Expression of emotion. Some cultures view open grief and emotional release as healthy and expected. Others encourage quiet endurance and inner reflection or specific mourning protocols. These norms shape what feels safe or acceptable in self care. Healing traditions, practices like sweat lodges, prayer circles, uh, a rejuvenistic rituals, or ancestral offerings are deeply embedded in certain cultures and serve both emotional and spiritual self care roles. Stigma and access. In some communities, therapy or rest might be uh, stigmatized, seems seen as weaknesses or an indulgence. This can limit how someone chooses or feels permitted to care for themselves. Language of the body. Not everyone describes mental distress the same way. Some cultures may emphasize physical symptoms, tiredness, pain, appetite shifts as acceptable ways to express emotional pain that in turn shapes which self-care paths are culturally in tune. The most meaningful self-care acknowledges acknowledges these nonsenses. It is not just about participation, but permission, giving people space to define care on their own terms. Would you be interested in exploring how culturally responsive self care could be integrated into grief support groups or caregiver training models? Okay, guys, so that is A for you. I'll be back on with B shortly. For now, Gator Wellness, take care, folks.